What's up, New York Mets Nation? The Bat Fry, Kenny Fry here. Coming up today on the Bat Cave, I'll be talking New York Mets, Mets versus Cubs, Mets versus Rays, and Mets versus Cardinals. Of course, a look ahead. We'll talk about standings, what's wrong with Pete Alonso, Tyler McGill rehab start, and the debut, much anticipated debut of Christian Scott. All that and much, much more coming up right after this. Good morning, New York Mets Nation, and welcome to the Bat Cave. I'm your host, the Bat Fry, Kenny Fry, and you know what day it is. Come on, let's hear it. It's Hump Day. Whoop, whoop. Yes, sir. Or ma'am. It's Hump Day. It's Wednesday, and it is all downhill from here. All right. We're going to talk some New York Mets baseball, the good, the bad, the ugly. A lot of ugly recently, but again, I talked about it when I was doing my predictions before the start of the season. The Mets, I predicted to win between 80 and 85 games. They're going to be around 500 all season. So this, in my opinion, this is what you're going to get all season from the Mets. You're going to get spurts where they look really, really good. They give you a lot of hope, a lot of optimism. And then they're going to go in spurts where you hate the goddamn bastards. You hate them. You want to choke them out. But then they start playing well again. So I don't know. It's just that's what it's going to be. That's the way they're constructed right now. And as the season moves forward, as the season goes on, we start seeing a little bit some roster changes, maybe some young guys creeping up or some moves made or whatever. That could alter that. But the way it's constructed right now, or injuries as well, injuries plays a big part of everything. But the way it's constructed right now, this is what they are. They're around a 500 ball club. They'll be a little above, a little below, a little above. It just, I gotta say is grab your ass and let's go for a ride. That's all I got to say about it. So, all right, so let's go ahead and kick it back. I wasn't on last week. I had a little mishap, as most of you may know. I do work night shift. I fell asleep. All right, I fell asleep sitting up on the couch waiting for my slot to go on the show. I should have just went on early and said the hell with it, but I fell asleep. My bad. But I'm here this week, so I'm going to go ahead and kick it back to the 4-game set with the Cubs last week. The Mets were able to come out with a split. So I'm going to do a little bit of game-by-game recap, and so I was taking a whole bunch of notes here. You know, some of these games I'm able to watch, some I'm able to listen to. The ones in the afternoon, I'm sleeping, so I just missed them totally. So that's the baseball season in a nutshell, really. You get your games. Sometimes they're on the West Coast, they're 10 o'clock at night. On the East Coast, if it's a Wednesday, go home game or whatever you want to call it. The last game of a series that might be at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Baseball, it's all over the place. So the Mets split a 4-game series with the Cubs. Game 1, they lost 3-1. Jose Severino carried a no-hitter. Or Luis Severino, I'm sorry. Luis Severino carried a no-hitter all the way into the 8th inning. He pitched a fantastic game. Unfortunately, no run support. The Mets offense was non-existent this whole series. And that's it. Again, like I just said, this is how their season's going to be. Inconsistencies. We are kind of hoping that the inconsistencies from last season with McNeil, Alonso, guys like that were kind of in their past. They're able to move forward this year. But right now, not so much. A lot like last season. So he won 8 innings pitched, 1 hit, 1 earned run, 2 walks, 5 Ks, 101 pitches. And he, like I said, he looked very, very good. Not a whole lot from there. Edwin Diaz, he gave up the go-ahead 2-run home run to Chris Morel. Not like Diaz. We've seen a good Diaz, but not quite the Diaz that we seen 2 years ago. He's looking good. He is looking good. He's getting a high strikeout rates. The fastball at times is very lively, but at times it's not there. And he's trusting his slider a whole lot more. He's throwing his slider a lot. And what happens with breaking pitches? Sometimes you leave it out and over, and sometimes they get hit hard. That's just the way it is, especially with breaking pitches. You don't locate it right. These major league hitters are going to send it. Whether it's a 9-hitter or a 4-hitter, it doesn't matter. These guys all have pop. So Diaz gave up the go-ahead 2-run homer to Chris Morel, and that kind of gives you your 3-1 score there. Nimmo led the game off with a solo home run, so the Mets were ahead 1-0. I mean, for Severino to hold that no-hitter for as long as he did, only with a 1-0 lead, is really impressive when you think about it. A lot of those times you see a guy with a no-hitter, and a lot of times the other team has give them some sort of run support where multiple runs up, 4, 5, 6 runs, sometimes even more, and they can kind of relax and go with the flow of the game. But 1-0, those are high pressure situations that you're in, and that's tough. So to carry that no hitter all the way to the 8th inning is really impressive. All right, so a big spot. There was a ball hit to Wendell. Joey Wendell was playing third base in favor of Brett Baty as a more of a defensive replacement. Baty was kind of struggling after coming off a couple days being injured out there in San Francisco. I think it was in San Francisco with his little hamstring issue. So he was struggling, and so they decided to sit him, give Joey Wendell the start. And we brought him in as a utility man. Usually utility guys are really good at defense. This dude has been a freaking nightmare. That's one guy I'd like to see, somewhere down the road, maybe like, send him to Miami or somewhere. I don't know. So send him somewhere else. Low A, high A ball. I don't care. Just not with the big league club. I've had enough of Joey Wendell. But anyway, runner on third. I believe there was a runner on first as well. And balls hit to Joey Wendell. Hit fairly hard. The runner gets a break on the ball, but he has, in my opinion, the announcer's opinion, he had plenty of time to go home with that ball and to get that out. Instead, he goes to first base for whatever reason. He goes to first base, and it just went down the shitter from there. If he goes home with that ball, I think, if I remember correctly, again, it feels like a month ago. It was just last week. I feel like if he goes home, I think that keeps the score 1-0. But then after that, it's 1-1. They bring Diaz in, and Diaz gives that 2-run homer. That makes it 3-1, and the rest is history. So, got to be better than that. Have to be better than that. Especially for, like I said, a guy that's used for defensive replacements to have a brain fart like that. It's like, come on, man. Give me $3 million. I'll throw the goddamn thing to first base. Hey, we got Eileen checking in. What's up, Eileen? She says, good morning, Bat Fry. Hey, Eileen. What day is it, Eileen? What day is it? You know what day it is. It's hump day. Oh, yes, it is. All right, so moving on to game 2. The Mets win this one, 4-2. Sean Manaea, 5 innings pitched, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 4 walks, 3 Ks, 92 pitches. Manaea's been like, I don't want to say he's been a godsend. He's been very, very good in a very high anxiety type of way. He doesn't go deep into the games, but those 5 innings or 6 innings that man pitches are very high anxiety. He seems to walk a lot of batters, throws a ton of pitches, gets very deep into counts, and it just keeps you on the edge of your seat. He keeps the runs down. He does a good job there. For the most part, only giving up 2, 3 runs. In those five innings that he's out there. But Jesus, it's on the edge of your seat the whole time with that guy. It seems like every inning he's in some sort of trouble, but he gets out of it. He weasels his way out of it. It's very impressive. It's very impressive to watch that man weasel his way out of some certain situations, and it's very impressive. Eileen, hump day, there it is. She knows. So Manaea, good job there. Only 5 innings pitched. Like, he doesn't go very deep in the game. Throw a lot of pitches. 92 pitches in 5 innings. It's a lot. DJ Stewart hits a 3-run bomb put the Mets ahead in the sixth. The bullpen goes 4 innings pitched. The bullpen, you cannot give enough credit to the bullpen so far. They've pitched so many innings. They've been stretched so thin, the bullpen, and they've done fantastic. They've done absolutely fantastic. One of the best bullpens in the league right now. Right now, I say, because if it continues this way, sooner or later, as soon as we start hitting those summer months, it's going to start hitting the fan. The way they're being used right now. You got to give Carlos Mendoza a lot of credit the way he's using his bullpen, because he's constantly rotating guys in and out from AAA up to the big club, AAA to the big club, using those options, club options and stuff like that to try to keep fresh guys in the bullpen. But these innings are starting to pile up for some of these guys. So there could be help on the way. I'll talk about that a little bit later on, but it's not help. It's not help in your traditional bullpen type of way. I'll talk about that in a little bit. So bullpen goes 4 innings pitched, only 1 hit, 1 earned run, 2 walks, 3 Ks, and that was Sean Reed-Foley, Garrett Ottavino, and Jorge Lopez. And like I said, DJ Stewart was 1 for 3. That three-run home run was huge, and Pete Alonso tacks on another RBI to make it 4-2. So moving on to Game 3, the Mets lose this one 1-0. Jose Butto comes out, pitches a good game. Starts a little shaky, but he's able to work through it. He gives 6 innings in a losing effort, 6 strong innings in a losing effort, giving up a sac fly to Pete Crow Armstrong, who is a former Met. The Mets traded him for Javi Baez a few years ago, and that turned out real well. The best thing Javi Baez did as a Met was to flip the Mets fans off. That's the only thing. I shouldn't say the best. That was the only thing worth of note that Javi Baez did as a Met, was flip the Mets fans off. So, or no, he gave them the thumbs down. That's what it was. He didn't flip them off. He gave them the thumbs down. He and Lindor, the best buds that they were back then. And I know Lindor caught a lot of heat, and Baez, got his ass out of town, and now he's striking out every other at bat up there in Detroit. So good for him. The only thing against Butto was that sac fly against Pete Crow Armstrong in the 4th inning. But besides that, very, very good. 6 innings pitched, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, 95 pitches. Alonso thrown out. So this was the big thing. The big controversy in this game was 1-0, and tight game. The Mets have a couple runners on in the 9th inning. I think it was 1st and 3rd. Alonso's on 3rd. I want to say McNeil hit a ball to the outfield. I could be wrong, though. It doesn't matter who it was. A ball hit to the outfield, sac fly opportunity. Ball's caught. Pete breaks for the plate. He's going, slides. He's called out at the plate, and they go back and they review it. So when they review it, I don't know if they reviewed it to see if he touched the plate before he was tugged, or if they reviewed it for obstruction. So if you look at the rules for obstruction, it's if you're standing, you cannot stand on home plate without the ball. You cannot stand in foul territory while waiting for the ball. Now, unless the ball takes you up the line, I guess that's kind of like a judgment thing. Like if there's a poor throw into home and you have to go after that ball, that's allowed. With that being said, he was standing on home plate and his foot was in foul territory while he's waiting to receive the ball. All appears to be obstruction. Now, at Major League Baseball, they agree with the umpire's call. So, I mean, it is what it is. It's not going to get overturned. It's not nothing like that. But like when you read the rule, they state of course, Mets Twitter, or whatever, Mets X, whatever you want to call it, put it all over the place. So the rule was everywhere. You read the rule, and what the rule says is what the catcher did. He stood on home plate without the ball, waiting to receive the ball, and his foot was in foul territory or on the foul line. Because if you do a cross section where the fair or foul line, whatever you want to call it, the foul line goes, that's right where his foot would be. So when Pete slides in, his hand would have touched home plate first if he keeps it on the ground. He slides in. It looks like his hand might have bumped the catcher's foot, who is standing on home plate. Hand comes up, catcher's tag comes down while his hand's in the air. He's out. So it is what it is. Is it obstruction? By the rules, the way I read it, that's a yes. Major League Baseball says no, it's a good call. I think they should clarify the rule a bit better then. I didn't see anything from Major League Baseball clarifying the rule, but They need to do a better job with that. We got a comment here from Fantasy Football Girl. What's going on? She says, howdy, y'all. How'd those Colts do in that draft? I'd like to hear from you on that one. What your thoughts are. Was it a good draft, a bad draft? Are you indifferent on that draft? Shoot that out there, or wait till Friday when I do my Raider show. That's up to you. We're talking football then. So that's a huge play in that game. I think that ended the game. To be honest, I think that ended the game. The bullpen goes 3 innings pitched, no earned runs, 1 walk, 7 Ks. That was Lopez, Jake Diekman, Ottavino, and Sean Reed-Foley. Lindor left the game early due to illness. That was a big thing. I think he left in the 2nd inning. So that kind of affected the offense a little bit, but he wasn't playing all that well up to that point anyway. So you move on to game 4. The Mets win that one, 7-6 to earn the split. 7-6 in 11 innings. So you want extra innings. Adrian Hauser. That's another guy that can just, take a walk with Joey Wendell, head to Miami, or head to Cuba if you have to. Head straight. Get yourself in a boat, head straight to Cuba, and don't look back. Don't look back, Adrian Hauser, Joey Wendell. Just go to Cuba. And Cuba, if you don't want him, send him to the Dominican Republic or send him to, I don't know, whatever little Caribbean island you want to send him to, where they're not going to hurt anybody with their baseballs. I mean, this is, or anybody's, where their baseballs aren't going to touch bats. There, we'll say it like that. It's terrible. I'm not a fan of Adrian Hauser or Joey Wendell. I'm not. I don't like them. Not at all. Hauser struggles yet again. 5 innings pitched, 4 hits, 4 earned runs, 4 walks. Dude walks a lot. 2 strikeouts, 82 pitches. It was 4-0 after 4 innings. 4-0 Cubbies. A 3-run home run by Morel. RBI singles by Nimmo and Marte cut that lead in half. The Cubs go up by 3 again with Pete Crow Armstrong double in the 6th. That made it 5-2. But Lindor comes in a big situation, a couple guys on, hits a 2-run double. It brings the Mets a little bit closer. That made it 5-4 Mets, or 5-4 Cubbies. Let me switch my notes on over here. And so here's another big point to this big situation in this game. There was a slow roller hit to Keegan Thompson. He was a relief pitcher for the Cubs. I don't remember exactly who hit it. It was Jeff McNeil. Jeff McNeil hit it. And so when I was watching this, I was confused as all hell. I'm like, what the hell is he doing? He instead of throwing, because he was pretty far away from first base to begin with, he was slow to the ball. He wasn't very, he wasn't. I don't know if he wasn't sprinting or if he didn't think he was going to get the ball, or maybe he thought first base was going to get the ball and second one. I don't know exactly what was going through his mind. He's a little bit slow off the mound to get the ball. And he's so far away from first base, instead of throwing it overhand with a little bit of zip on it, he decides to throw it underhand. Like he's like 2 feet away from first base. And, McNeil's called safe. So a huge brain fart by Keegan Thompson there. And it left me scratching my head. It's like, what the hell is he thinking? And that's something, I guess, I think it was Keith. I don't know if it was Keith or Ron from the SNY group mentioned that Keegan Thompson did have struggle fielding his position, like throwing to first base. I don't know if they're just saying that just to say it, or, like if there's actual, he's been struggling with that. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure because I don't follow Keegan Thompson or the Chicago Cubs. So that leads to McNeil being safe at first. Nimmo knocked in Lindor with a double to tie the game at 5-5 in the 6th. And I think McNeil. I think McNeil scored as well on that. So it's 5-5 in the 6th. That score holds up until the 11th, and the Cubs scored their zombie runner. Of course, the guy that starts on second base. I guess they call it the zombie runner. I don't know. I call it the softball runner because if you watch, my daughter's in softball. If softball goes in extra innings, they put that runner on second base for whatever reason, God knows what reason. And so I call it the softball runner. It's a softball runner at second base. So the Cubbies knock in their softball runner to make it 6-5. Lindor comes up with a couple guys on, knocks in Bader and Beatty. And That's the game-winning hit right there. So Lindor went from struggling to leaving the game sick. He said he was shitting and he was puking. He said he didn't want to shit himself and throw up on the field, so he decided to pull himself after 2 innings, which I understand. I wouldn't want to crap myself, especially with those uniforms. The way they're constructed now, look at who was it? Yeah, I think it was Nito the other day, I think it was Nito was catching the other day, and he was just absolutely soaked. Like everybody else's uniform was like a nice light gray. His was like a super dark gray because he was soaked with sweat. It shows sweat that much. So can you imagine crapping yourself? I'm sure if he's sick, it's probably the runs. So that's not going to be good. He'll be gravy legging it, and it'll be right. It's not a good. If he was on the Padres, wearing brown pants, it'd be all right, I'd assume. But takes you back to that old Little League song, when you're sliding in the first and you're feeling something burst. You remember that? Sliding in the home and your shorts are full of foam. No, yeah, I'm sure you do. Anyway, so he comes back the following game. He pinch hits, gets a 2-run double. Then in the extra innings, gets another 2-run double, the game winner. So good for him. It's like since that illness, he's kind of turned his season around a little bit, and that's something we've seen from Lindor so many different times, where he starts off really slow, and when May comes around, starts getting a little bit better, heating up a little bit, and then he finishes the season off pretty good. I got a couple comments here from our boy Yuki Matsui. What's up, Yuki? Said your thoughts on Harrison Bader complaining about playtime and not starting. So I heard those comments before I actually came on. I don't think he was, in my opinion, I didn't think he was really complaining. It sounds to me like a guy that really wants to play. The way I heard it, the way it sounded to me is he says it kind of, I don't know. I'm not going to do it verbatim. I'm just kind of put it in my own terms. It sounded like he says it really burns his ass when he's not playing, when he's not in the starting lineup. But he understands, there's a lot of guys, bidding for playing time here, and a lot of playing time to go around. And he understands he has a role to play, and he's all right with that. But he wants to be in there every inning. He wants to start every game, which, as a competitor, you understand that 100%. Absolutely. And even I think Carlos Mendoza, the Mets manager, came back, and he even kind of he didn't come down on Bader in the way it sounded to me. Kind of like understood where Bader was coming from and kind of put it in perspective. We have DJ Stewart, Tyrone Taylor, Harrison Bader, all out there, pretty much looking for playing time in pretty much one spot. I mean, of course, you're going to spell Marte a little bit, but that's an occasional one game, but mostly it's all center field type stuff. And, now with JD Martinez being in the lineup, that's your DH. Before, one of those guys would play the outfield, the other guy would DH. And so everything was kosher. Everybody was getting their ABs. Everybody was getting their games in. But yeah, so I get where Bader's coming from. He hasn't played terribly. He's been pretty solid in the outfield. He is a former Gold Glover. Offensively, there's been times where he's come up with some pretty big hits. Stolen some bases, and there's some times where he looked not very good at the plate. And I don't think we brought him in for his offense. It was more so for his defense, and I think he's done pretty well there. So he's not happy about it, but he didn't come out and say that. He didn't come out sounding like a baby. And the way it sounded, he didn't sound like a baby. He was just frustrated, and you can kind of understand that. Has he outplayed Tyrone Taylor? I don't know. It's probably pretty close. Has he outplayed DJ Stewart? Now, of course, you don't want DJ Stewart in the outfield too often. He's a bit of a defensive liability, but you want his bat in the lineup more often than not. So has Harrison Bader outplayed DJ Stewart defensively? Of course. Offensively, I mean, you look at the numbers, maybe not so much. So it's going to continue the way it is unless there's an injury or one of these guys, just start separating themselves from everybody else. I don't know. But I was fine with it. I had no problem with it at all. He didn't call anybody out. He didn't say, I'm better than Tyrone Taylor, or I'm better than DJ Stewart or Starling Marte's really old. How come he's playing? Nothing like that. So I was fine with it. He's frustrated. I get it. Who do you think? Who do you want to have the most at bats? Bader, Taylor, or Stewart? Stewart, Bader, and Taylor. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. So, and when I talk about stats, I'll just talk about it now. I usually do the stats near the end of the show. But you look at DJ Stewart's stats. Now he's hitting 180 something, which is dog shit. But the dude has an over 800 OPS. His slug is fantastic. His on base percentage is outstanding for a guy that's hitting 180 something. That's unbelievable. The dude has great at bats. He doesn't strike out all that often for being a slugger type hitter. You kind of look at him as kind of like what Daniel Vogelback would have been last. Should have been a slugger type hitter, guy that gets deep into counts, create some walks, get on base. That's what DJ Stewart has been doing. So I would definitely take DJ Stewart. Now you look at Bader and Tyrone Taylor. Tyrone Taylor, when he gets the opportunity, he's been getting the least amount of opportunities. He's done all right. He's done well. But I really like the hustle by Harrison Bader and just the Brandon Nimmo in him. Like it's just like the hustle. You know what I mean? Brandon Nimmo's known for his hustle, for go, and that's how I feel like Bader is. So I'm a big fan of that. Offensively, it's just too up and down. For right now, I don't know. He's never been a great offensive player. He's had some good seasons. He's had some bad seasons, and so this is what he is. He's a really good defensive player that's okay offensively. But I would definitely take bat wise. I would definitely take Stewart, then Bader, then Taylor. Down defensively, Bader, Taylor, then Stewart. But yeah. Who gets the boot from the Mets rotation when Kodai Senga returns? And that's going to be a tough one. That is going to be a tough one because you have Tyler McGill. Tyler McGill had his first rehab start yesterday and went 4 innings, no hits, 7 Ks. From everything I hear, he looked fantastic. So you'd expect him to be up pretty soon. I wouldn't expect too many more rehab starts. So you look at it, you have Severino, Quintana, Minaya. I'm guessing Budo still. Carlos Mendoza said that Christian Scott is going to remain in the rotation. He didn't say for how long. So right there's your 5 starters. Now, if you go to a 6-man rotation, that's Tyler McGill. Okay, Adrian Hauser. They already said Adrian Hauser's going to the bullpen. I'm hoping that the bullpen is in the U.S. Virgin Islands somewhere. But with that being said, we have our 6-man rotation right there. So when he comes back, do you send Christian Scott back down to the minors and stick with your 6-man rotation? Jose Budo, started off great. The first few starts looked really, really good. Last couple starts kind of up and down a little bit, but still decent. So I don't know. That's a really tough one. Do you look at Sean Manaea has been solid. Jose Quintana, he's been struggling as of late. So if that continues, you're expecting Senga. I think he comes off the DL the end of May. I wouldn't expect him back until probably early June. I would think somewhere around there. So you have a month to figure it out. If Quintana continues to struggle, it could very well could be Jose Quintana. I don't know what they do with him. Do they DFA him? Do they try to trade him? Do they, I don't know. I have no idea. But I think a lot of it just depends on the way those pitchers are performing this next month until Senga comes back and where Senga is at. If Senga comes back and you insert him into the starting rotation, he has 5 starts in a row where he's just getting slaughtered out there. Where do you go from there? Do you shut him down or what? I don't know. But there's a couple different options. My thought would be I wouldn't be too surprised if Christian Scott goes out there next 3 or 4 starts and his lights out. I don't know how you can send him back down to the minors, but there has been a lot of talk about pitch count or innings. Innings count. I think last year he only pitched 90 some innings, 80 some innings. Whereas previously he was a reliever. He wasn't a full-time starter. So you have to kind of work that those innings up, as the career goes on. So is there a cutoff? Are they going to use up all of his innings right now and then shut him down? I don't know. It's a tough one, but those are the three options. I think. I think you look at Christian Scott, Jose Quintana, and then if somebody else is struggling, maybe if Abudo is struggling, which is, I'm hoping that he's not, because I want to see him stay in the rotation, because I like the younger guys in the rotation. But those are the options I think anyway. How much of the Mets limit Christian Scott? There we go. I don't know. I have no idea. Like I said, last season they limited him to like 80 or 90 innings. So you figure it can't be something drastic. It can't be 200 innings. It can't be. I mean, I'm not sure how many innings he already has from AAA. I know he had a couple starts there. So you have to figure he's already in the 30 to 40 inning range right now, somewhere around there, probably. Maybe 25 to 35, somewhere in there. With minor leagues, with starting a little bit later than what the major leagues do. So, you'd have to figure maybe 120. I don't know if that's just a guess. I have no idea. I'm just pulling numbers out of my rear end here. But it can't be anything drastic. I'd assume that's with all these guys blowing out UCLs. Who the hell knows? Back in the day, they just throw those guys out there for 400, 500 innings a month, and they never tore a UCL. But now these guys are being babied along. Now they're tearing all sorts of crap. Maybe that's not the right way. I have no idea. What do you think, Yuki? Where do you think the cutoff is? Is there a cutoff in your opinion? If Christian Scott's balling, if he's out there just mowing guys down, start after start, 6 innings, 2 runs, 3 earned runs, whatever it is, quality start after quality start, do you shut that guy down? It's a tough call. That is a really tough call. I mean, like, it's one of those things that, like a Kerry Wood, you risk the rest of his career. Is it worth the risk? Is it worth the risk so you make the playoffs and get your asses knocked out by the Braves or the Phillies? I don't know. It's a very tough call. So back to this. I was talking. Let me see here. Yeah, I was talking about the softball runner, zombie runner. The Cubs went up 6-5. Lindor comes up. He knocks in a pair, Beatty and Bader, and the Mets pull that one out in extra innings. The walk-off double by Francisco Lindor, 7-6. The bullpen goes 6 innings pitched, 2 runs, 1 earned run, 5 hits, 3 walks, 6 Ks. Another great job by the bullpen after Hauser goes out there and shits the bed everywhere. Edwin Diaz, 2 innings pitched, no hits, 2 Ks. And also you had Nunez, Diekman, Garrett, and Denny Young pitching out of the bullpen. So a nice split for the Mets. The Cubs, they're not a terrible team. They're a decent team out of the Central there. So that's a nice split. Then they they go to Tampa Bay, and they get their pecker smacked by the Rays. A tough sweep. All 3 games, good games, close games, but just not being able to pull out just one of those games, it really, really hurt. So moving on to that. So game 1, the Mets lost 10-8. I didn't give them the credit in this one. They were down big, but they kept battling back, and really made it a close game. They're down 10-8. They jump out to Mets jump out early off a Brett Beatty bomb in the second inning, 3-0. And this one, if you didn't see that, I watched the highlights of this one so many different times. I turned this game on late. There's already 9-3 when I turned this game on. I don't even know why the hell I turned it on at 9-3. But anyway, I watched the highlights of this home run by Brett Beatty. And that's I think it's Tropicana Field there in Tampa Bay. What a shithole. What a crap hole that freaking place is. Where you hit a home run. Nobody knows where the hell it is. There's speculation to hit the catwalk and became a home run. Nobody knows where the freaking ball landed. It could just be stuck in the roof somewhere. Nobody knows. I mean, what a crap hole that place is. They do have a new stadium, I think, in the works. I think it's probably in the same area as St. Petersburg, which they don't draw a whole lot of fans there anyway, but whatever. Not my problem. So yeah, the Brett Baty bomb. Again, you watch it off the bat. It looks like it was probably going to be a home run. Nobody knows where the hell it is. Disappearing act. So that puts the Mets up 3-0, but they quickly relinquish that lead. Back to Tampa Bay. Jose Quintana gets blasted, but the Mets won't go away. And the Mets were down 9-3 in the fifth. They get 4 back on a Starling Marte sac fly. Francisco Lindor 2-run double. Pete Alonso RBI double. That makes it 10-7. They made it 9-7. The Rays, they get another run back. They make it 10-7 in the sixth. The Mets add one more in the ninth off a solo home run by Baty. So that was 2 home runs in the game for Brett Baty, showing a little bit of that power that we're all expecting but not getting yet. That made it 10-8, and the Mets quietly went away after that. So like again, kudos to the Mets. Being down 9-3, it's easily to, you can easily pack it up, start subbing guys in. But no, they fought back. They made a game out of it. They kept it close, and they had a chance. They had an opportunity, being within 3 in the last inning there to at least try to tie it up or even pull ahead. So Jose Quintana with his worst outing as a Met. He goes 2 2/3, 10 hits, 8 earned runs, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts on only 65 pitches. All that damage done to that poor man on 65 pitches. That hurts. The Mets bullpen again, 5 1/3 innings, 3 hits, 2 runs, 5 walks, 5 Ks. A lot of walks by the Mets bullpen. But again, a lot of innings also by the Mets bullpen. It's a recurring theme here. Francisco Lindor is 1 for 4, 2 RBI. Alonso had an RBI. Tyrone Taylor, from a previous discussion here, he had 2-run score. He was 2 for 4. Brett Baty was 3 for 4 with 4 RBI. So we move on to game 2 here. The Mets lose this one 3-1. This was Christian Scott's debut. When the breaking news came out that the Mets were calling up Christian Scott, I was absolutely surprised. I didn't see it coming. I thought they'd give Hauser another start, and that was going to be it because you knew Hauser was going to get his pecker smacked by the Rays because he's got his pecker smacked by everybody this year. So I'm glad that they called him up. So that they called Christian Scott up, makes his debut, and he pitched fantastic, pitched absolutely outstanding. He couldn't ask for a better start. He goes 6 2/3 innings, 5 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts, 94 pitches. Great lively fastball, looked really good. Some good breaking stuff from him too. His fastball was up in the mid to high 90s, 96, 97, somewhere around there. I know he got a couple strikeouts on a 96-mile-an-hour fastball. It looked really, really good. Ottavino gets into a little bit of trouble in the 8th inning. Bases were loaded, and he walks a run in after a 9-pitch at bat. It was a 9-pitch at bat, so it was a decent battle between he and Caballero. So it goes back and forth, 9 pitches, walks the guy in, and they call in Sean Reed-Foley. Sean Reed-Foley comes in, and he walks the next guy. So now it's 3-1, and that run also being charged to Ottavino because those were his runners on the bases. So Ottavino gives up 2 earned runs in that Mets loss. The Mets were 1 for 10 with runners in scoring position. They really struggled. They've been struggling for years now with runners in scoring position, which is kind of surprising with the RBI producers that they do have on his team. It's surprising they struggle as much as they do with runners in scoring position. But again, it's a reoccurring theme year in and year out with this team. It's just a struggle. They were combined 0 for 7. The big guys, the big bats, were combined 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position. JD Martinez was 0 for 3. Pete Alonso and Francisco Lindor were both 0 for 2 with runners in scoring position. In this game, Starling Marte was 2 for 3. That's the lone bright spot offensively, pretty much for the Mets there. He did knock a run in. I think it was off of, was it an error? I feel like it was an error. So a 3-1 loss. Christian Scott, 1 earned run. And I think that run was given up in the first inning. He got a little bit of trouble in the first inning, was able to battle out of it, and then proceeded to do a hell of a job after that. Game 3, the Mets lose 7-6 in 10 innings. Francisco Lindor kicks the game off with a 2-run shot in the first inning. So like I said, he after that sickness, really started heating it up. He's looking better and better, almost looking like old Francisco Lindor. The Rays get 3 back in the second inning. to make it 3-3. DJ Stewart draws a bases loaded walk. I'm sorry, they made it 3-2. DJ Stewart draws a base loaded walk to make it 3-3. The Mets get 2 more in the 4th inning. RBI singles by Omar Narvaez and Brandon Nimmo. That score holds up. That was 5-3. Going into the 9th when Diaz gives up a tying home run to Randy Arozarena. And that made it 5-5 in the 9th inning. Game goes to extra innings. The Mets go up on an error. Or no. Yeah, the Mets go up on an error as Bader scores. The bottom of the 10th with 2 runners on. Who was the batter? It wasn't DeLuca. DeLuca was the batter. He hits a screamer to center field. I don't know if Bader took a bad angle on it or what it was, but he's tracking it down and he dives for it. And basically that's the game. There was a runner on third, runner on first. Even if he catches that, it was deep enough where that runner on third still going to score. The game's going to be tied, but you can still hold. You're probably still able to hold that runner at first. Maybe he gets second because they're diving, but still, that runner regardless is going to score from third. So he's probably better off tracking back and just catching it on a bounce. Maybe let that runner score, get the ball into second base, and try to hold the runner there. Maybe like intentionally walk the next guy. I can't remember how many outs there were. There might have been 2 out. No, there's I think there was 0 or 1 out because it would have been a sac fly if you would have caught it. But so maybe intentionally walk the next guy to create like some sort of double play or whatever. So he probably would have been better off just fielding that instead of diving for it. You have to appreciate the effort that he gives, though. He got pretty close to it. He's a few inches off, which I guess is. I don't know if you'd consider that close or not. I don't know. But he was a few inches off, and but he put the effort in. Both runners end up scoring. That's it for the Mets. The Rays walk it off. I think Arozarena scored the game-winning run there. We got a comment here from College Football Frenzy at Out of the Box Sports. It says, do you feel being 18-18 so far is worthy of your expectations? Not even a quarter into the season. Like I said earlier, this is who I said the Mets were going to be. I predicted 80 and 85, between 80 and 85 wins, somewhere in that range. I feel like they're going to contend for a wild card spot, and they're going to be 500 all season. They're going to be up. They're going to be down. They're going to go on some runs where they look really good. They're going to go on some runs where you just want to choke them. You want to punch Mr. Met in the face on those runs, and then on the runs where they look good, you want to give Mrs. Met a kiss. Call me Mrs. Met. Don't tell Mrs. Fry. But anyway, this is kind of how I felt the Mets were going to be. To answer your question, there was that little run there. I don't know. I think they went 12-5. I think through a stretch, and they were looking really, really good. Like, hey, you know what? Maybe we have a much better team than we thought. Well, then the offense went in a shitter. And eventually the starting pitching started breaking down, and bullpen's has held up great. But now with this series against the Cardinals, kind of righting the ship a little bit. The Mets were 2 games under 500 coming into the series, and now the first 2 games in this 3-game set with the Cardinals, now back to 500 after winning the first 2 games. So they win this series, and that's all you can ask. That's something that, like 2 years ago when the Mets won 100 games. That's all it was, win the series. Every series coming up, it wasn't win 15 games in a row, win 10 games in a row. Win the series, keep winning series. You lose an occasional series, all right. Win the next series, win the next series, win the next series. That's all you can ask for. Treat each series as something new instead of something as a continuation. If that makes any sense, treat each series as something new. All right, we took 2 or 3. We won this series so far against the Cardinals. Go for the sweep today. The game's at 115, I believe. Go for the sweep today, but you don't get it. Oh, light bulb went on there. If you don't get the win today, you still win the series. All right. Well, all right. That's out of the way. You won that series. You move on to the next one. Now win the next series against the Braves. All right. Move on from that one. Win the next series. That's all you can do. That's all they should be doing. That's all they should be looking to. They shouldn't be, let's win 4, 5, 6, 7 in a row. win the series. That's it. Win the series. 4 game sets. You look to split the series. If you can win the series, that's great, but you look to split it. So, but this is exactly where I thought they would be. Right around this, a little bit below, a little bit above 500. We're at 500. That's pretty much who they are when you look how they're constructed right now. So yeah, college football frenzy. Don't forget, I'll be coming back to Out of the Box Sports here in a few months. I think August. I could be wrong. Paul Spencer, Bill Furman talking college football. I believe it'll still be Wednesdays. I think. I shouldn't be throwing out dates or days or anything like that until I know for sure. But that's what it was last year anyway. So looking at a couple stats from that last game against the Rays. Severino, 5 innings pitched, 4 hits, 4 earned runs, 6 walks, 6 strikeouts, 98 pitches. A lot of walks for Severino. He's been really good in the walk category this year. Hasn't walked many in his outings. He's pitched very good for the Mets. He's been a very nice bright spot in the starting rotation. This one was a little bit of a rocky start for him. Like I said, 5 innings, 4 earned runs, the 6 walks really hurt. A lot of laboring for Luis Severino. Brandon Nimmo had an RBI. Starling Marte, 2 walks and a run scored. Francisco Lindor, 2 for 6, 2 RBI and a home run. And Omar Narvaez, 2 for 2 with a run and an RBI. So moving on to the Cardinals. Mets take the first 2 games, and now that means they win the series against the Cardinals. Game 1 was a win 4-3. Pete Alonso, I don't want to say Pete Alonso was benched, but he wasn't in the lineup, which is unheard of. Pete Alonso, guys like Pete Alonso and Francisco Lindor, they kind of pride themselves in being in the lineup every single day, playing every game. So not seeing Pete start that game was kind of a surprise. But the dude has been struggling so bad, and I'll talk about that in a little bit, that he almost had to sit him, just kind of let him reset a little bit. It's go into the game, relax. You don't have to get right out there at first base right away. It's kind of ease into the game, relax. Available to pinch hit, which he does a little bit later on, and go from there. See if that kind of snaps him out of it or helps him a little bit. So like I said, the Mets start to win this game 4-3. Alonso not in the lineup. I think DJ Stewart, that was his first start. I don't want to say ever, but definitely in the major leagues as a first baseman. So the first inning, DJ Stewart has an RBI double. 5th inning, Starling Marte, a fielder's choice RBI. In the 5th inning, Francisco Lindor, sac fly RBI, made it 3-0 Mets. St. Louis comes back. I keep doing that. I added an S to comes back. That's goofy. St. Louis comes back in the 6th inning with 3 runs, made it 3-3. Brandon Nimmo just crushed the ball, made it 4-3. I think that one, I should have wrote the distance down, but he absolutely hammered the hell out of that ball. That made it 4-3, and that's all the Mets needed. Bullpen again steps up, does a great job. Sean Manaea actually getting into the 6th inning is a big thing, a quality start for him. He goes 6 innings pitched, 6 hits, 3 earned runs, 1 walk, 1 strikeout. And the reason he's able to go 6 innings is 1 walk. He's able to keep his walks down. He's able to keep that pitch count down, and he doesn't give up many home runs. So if he keeps those walks down, he keeps himself out of trouble. He's a very good pitcher. The bullpen goes 3 innings pitched, 2 hits, 3 strikeouts. And that was Diekman, Ottavino, and Edwin Diaz. Brandon Nimmo was 2 for 5, 2 runs and RBI. Starling Marte had an RBI. Francisco Lindor had an RBI and a run scored. DJ Stewart had an RBI. Joey Wendell, who I still can't stand, he was 2 for 3. Alonso did come in as a pinch hitter in a big spot, but he was 0 for 1, did not produce. Tomas Nido was 2 for 3 with a run scored. Here we go. So College Football Frenzy says, yes, sir. Wednesday night starting at 8 p.m. August 7th. On the ball I am. How about that? Hell yeah. I'm not the Mets. I'm above 500. I'll tell you that right now. So game 2 of the series last night. The Mets win this one 7-5. Jose Budo, he faces a little bit of adversity early on and responds very nicely. He gave up 3 first-inning runs, including a leadoff home run. Second innings, he allowed the first 2 runners to get on in the second inning. But after that, lights out. He's able to strand those 2 runners and just cruise through the next couple innings there. He works out of it and settles down nicely. He retired the next 9 out of 10 batters. So he went 5 innings, 5 hits, 3 earned runs, 3 walks, 3 Ks, 89 pitches. Again, those 3 walks, a little bit higher for him, but he brought it down a little bit from the last time out. Early on in the season when he was really pitching really, really well, he kept those walks way down to 0, 1, around that area. Walks are up. He's throwing a lot more pitches, laboring a lot more. So the key for him is to limit your walks. Limo tied the game in the 5th with a 3-run mammoth home run. This one dead center, 440 plus feet. A huge blast by Brandon Nimmo. Dude, he's been swinging a big bat recently, so I'm digging this Brandon Nimmo right now. Pete Alonso gave the Mets a lead with a 2-run double, and JD Martinez, he singled in Alonso, so there was an RBI single for Martinez. That made it 6-3 after 5. Mets are up. 6th inning saw St. Louis get one back off of a Burleson solo home run. Alonso extends the lead in the 9th inning with his solo home run. So Pete Alonso producing a little bit, looking a little bit better after not starting the game before. We'll see what he does today. And so that made it 7-4. Then Lars Nootbaar, which one of the greatest names ever. I wish he was on our team so I could say it all the time. Lars Nootbaar. He had a solo homer in the bottom of the 9th that made it 7-5. So bullpen goes 4 innings pitched, 6 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts. That was Cole Sulser, Sean Reed Foley, Julio Lopez, Sean Garrett, or not. Jesus Christ. I cannot remember this freaking guy's first name. Garrett and Ottavino. That's the bullpen guys. Nimmo was he had 3 runs, a 3-run home run, a walk. Marte was 2 for 5 with a run scored. Lindor was 2 for 5 with a run scored. Alonso was 2 for 5 with 3 RBI and 2 runs scored. JD Martinez 2 for 4 in RBI, and Jeff McNeil was 3 for 4 with a run scored. We got a couple comments here. Out of the Box Sports says, Twitter viewers, you can now comment live by clicking the video and then clicking the video again to have the chat box appear at the bottom of your screen to comment live. So I don't want to say I can't. I tried. Paul, I can tell you right now, I tried so many times. I cannot figure this out, and I can't tell you how frustrating it is. Where if phones were cheaper, if phones were like $10 a phone, I would have snapped my phone several times. That's how irritated I am. I see so many people commenting from X or Twitter, wherever you want to call it, and I can't do it. I'm sitting there tapping the crap out of my phone. I can't figure it out. So the Mets take 2 out of 3 so far from the Cardinals. Looking for that series sweep today at 1:15. We have Yuki Matsui. What do you do with Pete Alonso if the Mets are still around 500 and out of the wild card hunt? Well, you'd have to figure with all the wild card slots that what is there? I think there's 3 wild card slots. I think that's what it is. I could be wrong. But I think there's 3 wild card spots. And if they're around 500, they should be close enough. They should be close enough where there's no fire sale. There's no, they trade Pete Alonso or whatever. And again, I've mentioned this before. I've heard scenarios where you trade Pete Alonso at the trade deadline to get a haul for him as a rental, and then you re-sign him in the offseason, which isn't out of the realm of a possibility. But I just don't know how Pete Alonso would feel about that. So, but yeah, if they're around 500, they should be in the wild card at least within, I would think 5 games. I mean, like there are some really good teams out there. There are some really good teams. Like you look at the Central, Brewers, Cubs, those teams right there. Who else from the Central? Cardinals suck ass. Pittsburgh, not doing all that well. They had a great start. They're behind. Reds, kind of middle and around there. I look out west, the Padres, they keep adding stuff. They're getting better. The Giants, I think the Giants have a decent roster. So who knows, they might turn it around. So there is some really decent teams. Of course, the Braves, Phillies, one of those teams will be in the race there. So there's a possibility, but I think if the Mets are around 500, I think they'll still be close enough where you still hold Pete Alonso, and hopefully he's producing. Yuki says, Marlins fire sale. Do you like Jazz Chisholm on the Mets? I don't like Jazz Chisholm, period. I don't know what it is. I don't know. He's a very good young player with a bit of pop in his bat. Decent outfielder. I think he's pretty fast too. He can steal you some bases. I think he's a center fielder. So you look at it right now. You know that's Bader, Tyrone Taylor, Brandon Nimmo. So you get Jazz Chisholm. I don't know what you trade for him. You have probably some young prospects. I think he'd probably make the Mets instantly better. I think he would. I think he would make them instantly better. I'm just not a big fan of Jazz Chisholm anyway. So, but he would definitely make them better. He would make them better. There's no doubt about it. But it depends on kind of what you're going to give up for him, I think. And here we go. I don't know how you do it. Zhang Hu Li of the company. Yuki Matsui, our boy here, commenting on X. And I'm telling you what, it drives me bananas. It drives me absolutely insane that you can do that. And here's Out of the Box Sports just rubbing my nose in it some more. Make sure you follow at the Batcave. That's us right here. At the Batcave _OOTBS and at Out of the Box Sports at OOTBox Sports for the best content, live shows, and updates. So I think my X handle for the Batcave is at the Batcave. I don't think there's an underscore there. I think it's at the Batcave OOTBS. Let me double check here real quick before I move on, because then I'll forget and people won't be able to find me. But I'm pretty sure there's no underscore. Yeah, it's at the Batcave OOTBS. So yeah, no underscore, but yeah. Be sure to follow us, Out of the Box Sports, OOTBox Sports on X. Find us on YouTube, Out of the Box Sports Entertainment or Out of the Box Sports. You'll see the logo pop up, the black and red. That's us. Follow us, subscribe. Please subscribe. We appreciate it very much. Hit that notification bell. We have a lot of great shows on here. A lot of different teams covered, a wide variety of sports. And if there's a sport that you'd like to cover or a team that you'd like to cover that's not covered by Out of the Box Sports, reach out to us, and we'll get you started. We'll get you hooked up. We'll give you the ins and the outs, and it'll be fun. It'll be fun. All right. So moving on from the Mets Cardinals. Hopefully the Mets take them out today. So today's pitching matchup at 1:15, you have Jose Quintana versus Sonny Gray, and so of course Sonny Gray is absolutely fantastic. So it's going to be a tough one for the Mets. So far, Sonny Gray's 4-1 this season with a .89 ERA and a .86 WHIP. That's otherworldly. That's in 30 and a third innings pitched. And here's the other otherworldly stat: 38 strikeouts in 30 innings pitched, only 5 walks. The dude is a machine. Sonny Gray is a machine. And he's on a crap team right now. It's too bad. Jose Quintana is at 1-3, 5.20 ERA, 1.54 WHIP, and that's in 36 and a third innings pitched, 25 strikeouts, 16 walks. Like I said, he's struggling right now. That's one of those options. You look ahead to Senga when he comes back. Do we move on from Quintana? I don't know. So Friday, we have a day off on Thursday. Move ahead. We got a comment here. Paul Spencer says, "Wish the Pirates were contenders so we could have a winning team to write about." Yeah, so the Pirates started off really good, and they've really faltered or floundered, however you want to say it, this last few weeks or so, and really dropped off. It's a shame too, because they have some really good young players, and they have a great stadium there. You hear all these the high praises for that stadium, PNC Park, but it's not a very good team right now to go watch. So the Mets, we get Thursday off after today's day game, and we host Atlanta. I think, it's in New York. So the Braves are coming up to Flushing, play the Mets. First game on Friday, it's Charlie Morton versus Christian Scott. So Christian Scott's second start of his major league career will be against the Braves. All right, so there we go. Yeah, throw him into the fire. Let's go. Charlie Morton's 2-0, 3.50 ERA, 1.14 WHIP. That's in 36 innings pitched, 33 strikeouts, and 13 walks. Christian Scott, of course, only has had one start, 1.35 ERA, 0.90 WHIP. That's in 6 2/3 innings, 6 strikeouts, and 1 walk. Saturday, you have Bryce Elder. Bryce Elder's 1-1, 5.28 ERA, 1.76 WHIP. That's 15 1/3 innings pitched, 10 strikeouts, 8 walks. Against Luis Severino, he's 2-2, 2.93 ERA, 1.18 WHIP, 40 innings pitched, 37 strikeouts, and 17 walks. Sunday versus the Braves, that's an ESPN game. So the Saturday game, I think that's a 4 o'clock start, if I remember correctly when I looked at it. And then the Sunday game is Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN. The Saturday game's on FS1. It's either 1 o'clock or 4 o'clock. I can't remember now. Now I'm doubting myself. But the ESPN game, you have Max Fried against Sean Manaea. Max Fried's 2-1, 4.23 ERA, 1.15 WHIP, and that's in 38 1/3 innings pitched, 32 strikeouts to 14 walks. Sean Manaea is 2-1 with a 3.31 ERA, 1.39 WHIP. That's in 35 1/3 innings pitched, 31 strikeouts, and 19 walks. Monday, we got the Phillies coming to town. So it's a weird set with the Phillies here. We have 2 games up in Queens, and then the next 2 games down in Philly, all in a row like that. It's really, I've never seen a setup like that before. But anyway, Monday versus the Phillies. It's for the Phillies. You have Christopher Sanchez going for the Phils. He's 2-3 with 3.22 ERA, 1.46 WHIP, and 36 1/3 innings pitched, 34 strikeouts, 15 walks. He will be facing Jose Butto, and Butto sits right now at 1-2 with a 3 ERA, 1.15 WHIP, in 33 innings pitched. That's 34 strikeouts and 17 walks. Tuesday versus the Phillies, you have Aaron Nola. As of right now, I'm sure that's going to change by now with his stats. I'm saying he's 4-1 right now with a 3.32 ERA, 1.15 WHIP. That's in 43 1/3 innings pitched, 40 strikeouts, 15 walks, but he has given up 7 home runs. He's very susceptible to the home run, and that's against Jose Quintana, who, as of right now, until he pitches today, as of right now, he's 1-3, 5.20 ERA, 1.54 WHIP. In 36 1/3 innings pitched, 25 Ks, 16 walks. Like I said, he pitches today, so those stats will change. So I don't even know why I read them to you. Now there is a possibility, like I mentioned earlier, with Tylor Megill, his rehab start last night. There is a possibility that we could see him inserted into the starting rotation for that Phillies series. Maybe. I don't think for the Braves. I think we're pretty well set for the Braves with Christian Scott, Luis Severino, and Sean Manaea. But I wouldn't be too surprised if you've seen him maybe after Butto, the second Phillies game in Queens, and you'll push Quintana off to the next game against the Phillies in Philadelphia. Maybe give Quintana an extra day off. He's an older fella. Let those old bones rest, right? So I wouldn't be too surprised if we see Tylor Megill somewhere very soon next week. Either of those first 2 games in Queens, one of those 2 games, or the next 2 in Philadelphia. So, like I said, he had 4 innings pitched last night, no hits, 7 strikeouts, and 1 walk. So, very positive. Rehab start for Tylor Megill. Let's hopefully he comes back and that's who he is. But you know what they say, wish in one hand and crap in the other and see what fills up first, right? Yuki Matsui says, my starting lineup when Senga comes back: Senga, Scott, Severino, Butto, Quintana, and 6 Manaea. All right, yeah, I can do that. So where's McGill? Is McGill in the bullpen, I guess? I was, I don't know. There's talk of when David Peterson comes back, he should be back fairly soon as well, that there's a very good chance that, he's in the bullpen. Do you also put McGill in the bullpen? I think a lot. And again, you look at the Quintana part, I think a lot of it has to do with how he's pitching at that point. If he's struggling like he has the last couple starts, I don't know. Well, no, I shouldn't say last. Like 2 starts ago, he won 8 innings. I think 1 run. But I mean, like 2 of the last 3, kind of iffy. I don't know. But I like that. I like that. Having keeping the young guy in there. Do you go? How far do you go with Scott though? How far do you go with Christian Scott? Do you have an innings limit on him? Paul says Braves Friday 7:10, Saturday 4. There we go. See, I thought so. Saturday 4:10, Sunday 7 o'clock, Monday Philly 7:10, Tuesday 1:10, an afternoon game, then back to evening game on Wednesday in Philadelphia. So Sunday night baseball, Mets Braves. Hopefully the Mets don't lay an egg on national TV. Just be competitive. Paul says, let's go Braves. Need to stay close to the Phillies. The Phillies are super hot right now. Got to give them credit. Dave said, hey, Cowboy Dave, what's going on there, Mr. Showstopper? He says, what's going on, big man? You can check Dave out. He was on last night on the extra innings with Joe Sullivan, talking all Major League Baseball. He's on Wednesdays at 9:30 p.m. on Dem 215 Boys. I don't know if they're on this week or not. They're not on this week. So they'll be on again, I believe, next week. And so every other week right now. That's what I'm trying to say. With Dem 215 Boys, talking Dallas Cowboy football, 9:30 p.m. And then Saturday nights with myself and an assorted variety of other hosts, the Atomic Drop podcast, talking WWE wrestling. Myself, the Showstopper Cowboy Dave, Adam the Answer Glenn, and of course, the professor of old school wrestling, the best looking guy on podcasting, Eddie Prather. There he is. All right. Yuki Matsui says, to be honest, I hate McGill and Peterson. They wrecked the Mets last year. I'm not a big Peterson fan, but it seems like a lot of Mets fans like Peterson. They say he has better stuff than McGill. I don't know. I still kind of hold out hope for McGill. Back in 2022, he had a couple really nice starts. Then he was hurt for a stretch. I felt like they brought him back too early, and he hasn't been right since. And so hopefully he's back to where he was back in 2020, early 2022. Or he's just, the dude is just on, injury prone. I don't know. If he's injury prone, then he has to be, bullpen. Relegate to the bullpen. He's a decent pitcher. I feel like he has. McGill has decent stuff. He can be serviceable, but they might have to be in the bullpen, to be honest with you. Before I go any further, I just want to give a quick reminder before I forget, because that's how I am. I'm very forgetful in my old age. There it is. Inside the Octagon, a new show coming here very, very soon. Talking UFC. I'll be debuting May 27th with our boy Paul Spencer, and a new co-host, Josh. That'll be Mondays at 8:30 p.m. starting May 27th every week. Talking UFC. So all you combat sports junkies out there, get your popcorn. It's going to be a good one. We used to do a UFC show here on Out of the Box Sports. It was fantastic. It was well received. So it's really good to see it come back. I know Paul loves the UFC. He's a big combat sports fan, whether it's boxing or MMA. So it's good to see that he's going to be able to start talking that again live, because there's an audience out there for it, and when you have somebody that's passionate about it, talking about it, it makes for a good show. And then 2 guys, Paul and Josh, that are passionate about it, talking about it, it's going to make for a very, very good show. So be sure to check that out. So Yuki hates McGill and Peterson. I don't blame you. 100%, Yuki. I don't blame you at all. They did wreck the Mets. I'll agree with you. Last year, both those guys shit the bed, and so I don't blame you one bit at all. Rich Youst, Phillies. Phillies are good. Phillies are good right now. Very, very hot. I'm sick of hearing my daughter Emerson giggle every time freaking Bryce Harper hits a grand slam. He comes upstairs. Bryce Harper hit a grand slam. get the hell out of here. You're grounded. I say, you're grounded. Talking that nonsense in my house. It's a blue and orange house. That's what I say to her. I don't say that to her. In my head, I do. It's not worth the argument. Rich says everyone is picking everybody up. And that's good team baseball, right? That's good team baseball there. So the Phillies are getting it done with good team baseball. All right, so moving on to a little bit of Pete Alonso talk here before I start checking out. Pete Alonso struggling. The dude has been struggling something fierce recently. Like I said, he didn't start the first game against the Cardinals. They sat him. That was a big deal. Did eventually come back into the pinch hit and as a defensive replacement at first base, get Stewart out of there because he has played a very good. Pete Alonso has played a very good first base. I don't care what you say. Yeah, say Pete Alonso is not a good first baseman. You're wrong. Pete Alonso is a good first baseman. Maybe not a Gold Glover. He may never be a Gold Glover, but he is a good first baseman. He's gotten so much better year after year at that position. The dude puts a lot of work into it. So you got to give him credit there. But from April 26th to May 5th, he was 2 for 36. I mean, I was looking at the game by game stats. There's so many 0 for 4s, 0 for 5s. It's just, you have to wonder how many times somebody was on in front of him. Because, Nimmo, Marte, those guys were getting on, either through walk or through hits. Lindor was struggling at the same time as well. So you figure Lindor probably was on with the upsides of walk or so. But you have to ask yourself, how many times were guys on through that stretch where the Mets were losing a bunch of games? And so you need a lot more out of Pete Alonso. Contract year, you have to hope that him sitting that first game against the Cardinals kind of turns it around for him. Now, when I watch Pete hit now, you go back to a few years ago when Pete was killing it, 40 plus home runs, whatever, 130 RBI. He did a lot of really, really great things in the box. Not only just crushing the ball, home runs or whatever, but taking the balls to opposite field, going with the pitch, and when he's down 2 strikes, getting a little bit defensive. He's a power hitter, so you don't get overly defensive as a batter. When you're a power hitter, rein that swing in a little bit. Look for the hit, look to get on base, put the ball in play instead of looking to put it in the upper deck. And it seems like he's way over swinging right now. There's so many times it seems like it's a replay every time you see him strike out. It's a ball that's either down in the dirt or extremely low outside, and he's chasing it. He's swinging and he's missing terribly at it. And the thing is, when the pitchers miss that pitch, when the pitchers don't execute that pitch, they leave it, kind of over the plate a little bit, he crushes it. So he has to see that pitch come in and think to himself, I'm going to house this, and just completely miss it. But with 2 strikes, you have to sit back a little bit more, cut that swing down. He shouldn't be swinging for the fences with 2 strikes. I mean, there's certain situations, maybe you do, but I mean, just look to get things going. At least for him personally, you got to cut that swing down a little bit. Start taking that pitch, that low and outside pitch. If you can't lay off it, cut it back. Try to take it the opposite field instead of trying to crush it up into the left field bleachers. Take it right field. Take it right field and go from there. I mean, it's really frustrating watching him hit sometimes, and then seeing at times him do what I'm saying right now. There's times where he does cut back on that swing and just hits the ball into the right center gap. Yeah, it's you see that, like, why can't you do that more often? And then 2 at bats later, you see him swinging for the house at a ball that's nowhere near where he's swinging. It's like, man. So I, in my opinion, I think Pete just needs to cut that swing down with 2 strikes, look for the base hit instead of the big knock, and build on it from there. Because as soon as he starts driving those balls opposite field, hitting gaps, and some of those balls are going to fly out. He's strong enough. He hits that ball hard enough where if he stays with it, hits that outside pitch, that whether it's a sweeper or a slider, it seems like mostly a slider they've been getting on, or a cutter, breaking outside. One of those pitches, if he's able to barrel it up, even shortening the swing up, he's strong enough where he could take that opposite field line drive home run. Absolutely, we've seen him do it before. I don't want to say that was his bread and butter a couple of years ago, but that was one of his MOs where he was able to take that ball opposite field, line drive home run, just by shortening that swing up a little bit. So he can absolutely do it. He's done it in the past. So I think if he's going to be successful, he has to realize that and has to start cutting down on that swing. Now you were hoping that with JD Martinez there, that he'd kind of protect Pete a little bit, and Pete would see more pitches to hit, but it doesn't seem to have happened that way. And he's swinging at everything anyway, so it didn't really matter. I got a comment here. Rich Youst says, sounds like a Castellanos. Okay, I'm like, what the hell's a Casti for the Phillies? Castellanos for the kinda. So I guess I don't watch a whole lot of Phillies, but I know Castellanos, when he's with the Reds, he was much heralded as a gap to gap type of hitter, doubles hitter with some pop. And since he's been with the Phillies, it hasn't been quite like that. I mean, there's times where I think last season, for a large chunk of the season, he looked very good, and he was hitting those gaps and getting those doubles, those extra base hits, and some home runs. I'm not sure about this season though. Yes, Yuki Matsui, I am living with Benedict Arnold. Dude, you should see her room. You walk in her room, and like as soon as you walk in her room, a big old Phillies flag there, just kicking me right in the face. Like come on. So, yeah. She has a Real Muto jersey. Now with the Real Muto jersey, she asked for her birthday, and I bought it for her, but I bought her the cheap one. She wasn't getting an expensive one. Not in my house. There he is, out in the answer, Glenn. What's going on, buddy? He says, what up? The Phillies are on fire. You can check Adam out with us on Saturdays, the Atomic Drop, talking wrestling. The Phillies are on fire. Absolutely. So another player I want to talk about, Jose Quintana, his last 3 starts. Like I said, he's been struggling recently. So against the Giants back on April 22nd, 5 innings pitched, 7 hits, 5 earned runs, 3 walks on 91 pitches. So again, that's not your typical Jose Quintana type start. He was known since he came off the DL last year, or the IL, whatever you want to call it. Last year, he was known as the pitcher that can get you quality starts, start in and start out. 6 innings pitched, 3 earned runs or less. And now, this start here, 5 innings pitched, 7 hits, 5 earned runs, then 3 walks. Not like Quintana at all. But then he comes back, he bounces back against St. Louis with 8 innings pitched, 3 hits and 1 earned run with 1 walk and 99 pitches. So, all right, there's our Jose Quintana back. But then he reverts back to a not so good Jose Quintana against Tampa Bay, 2 2/3 innings, 10 hits, 8 earned runs. So I mean, he's been very, very inconsistent as of late. Hopefully, he kind of figures it out against St. Louis here today, and maybe outduels Sonny Gray, which is going to be a tall task. So he's been struggling a little bit. Like I said a couple times now today on this show, that's a spot where I can look if he continues struggling that Senga will kind of jump into and figure out what we're going to do with Quintana. Severino, he lost his last 3 starts in a row, but 2 of those 3 were quality starts. At San Francisco, the Mets lost 5-1, but he threw 6 innings, only giving up 3 earned runs, 5 strikeouts, no walks. Versus Chicago, the Mets lost 3-1. Again, that's the one where he took the no-hitter into the 8th inning. 8 innings pitched, 1 hit, 1 earned run, 2 walks, 5 Ks. The last time out against Tampa Bay, only going 5 innings. Mets lost in 10 innings. 5 innings pitched, 4 hits, 4 earned runs, but those 6 walks were huge. If he only gives up 2 walks or the 0 walks like he did the previous 2 outings, maybe the Mets win that game. But those 6 walks were huge. Pitch count was up, and so on. So those were Severino's last couple starts. Like I said, he's been a blessing so far this season. So that start against Tampa Bay where he gave up those 4 earned runs in 5 innings with all those walks, I think that's just I guess an aberration. I don't know if that's the right word or not, so I'm just going to say it anyway because that's who I am. All right, so moving on from that, like I mentioned, Adrian Hauser moved to the bullpen in favor of Christian Scott, who's going to remain in the starting rotation. Not sure for how long. Looking at the standings here, as I truck along here, we got Yuki Matsui with a comment saying You should have bought your daughter the Philly City Connect that resembles a bowling jersey. I didn't think they were terrible. I don't think they were the worst. The Philly City Connect. The colors, that's their city colors, that, whatever blue the hell that is, powder blue or something, and yellow. But the rest of the jersey, the Liberty Bell I thought was all right. But the Phillies going across the front, I wasn't a big fan of that font, that lettering. But I didn't think they were terrible. Like I said, they weren't. I really like the Mets City Connect. I asked Mrs. Fry for my birthday, which is coming up, very soon, if she'd hook me up with a City Connect Mets jersey. I kind of sent her a screenshot to kind of say, here you go. So we'll see what happens when see if I was a good boy or not come my birthday. But yeah, my daughter does not like the Philly City Connect jerseys at all. She did say, ill. She went, ill, turned her nose up and everything. So looking at the standings, you have Philly sitting in first place at 26-11. They have a run differential of plus 54, 7-game win streak, 9-1 in their last 10. Like I said, they're hot. Atlanta 21-12, 3 games back, a plus 36 run differential, win streak of 1. I don't know if that's a streak or not, but they won 1 in a row. Last 10, they're 4-6, so they're kind of skidding a little bit. So the perfect time for Mets to kind of go in there and get a couple off the old Bravos, kind of like what we did down in Atlanta. Took 2 out of 3 against them down there in Atlanta. Washington leapfrogged the Mets here. The Nationals are in third place, 18-17, 7 games back. They have a -7 run differential, a win streak of 2. 7-3 in their last 10. The Mets 18-18, 7.5 games back, a +5 run differential, win streak of 2. 5-5 in their last 10. And the Miami Marlins bringing up the ass end of the NL East at 10-28, 16.5 games out. They are eliminated. They're done. They're done. I'm calling it. Time of death for the Miami Marlins is 11:26 a.m. on a Wednesday, May 8th. There it is. They're done. Stick a fork in them. Nobody's going to watch them. They're at a -77 run differential. What the hell is that? -77. Jesus Christmas. Oh, that's a losing streak of 2. I don't know if that's the worst or not, but that's pretty bad. And they are 4-6 in their last 10. So now when the Mets play them, that means the Mets will get swept by them. They're playing them, I think, next week after they play the Phillies. So the Mets will probably get swept, and that'll be it. All right, so I was going to go into the stats, but I'm going to cut her short here. I'm almost at an hour and a half. Maybe I'll hit a couple of the stats. Adam, the answer says you're getting a Phillies jersey for your birthday. I am not getting a Phillies. If I got a Phillies jersey for my birthday, Adam, I'd probably just give it away or sell it. I wouldn't do anything nasty to it. I was going to get funny, so I'm going to wipe my butt with it. I wouldn't do that. I'd either give it away or I'd sell it. Find some other fat ass to wear a Phillies jersey. So looking at some stats, Nimmo's hitting 229, 412 slug, 377 on base percentage, 79 OPS, 2 stolen base, 5 home runs, 25 RBI. He leads the team in RBI. Brandon Nimmo, 25 walks. He leads the team in walks as well, and 32 strikeouts. Starling Marte having a great season so far. A good season so far. He's hitting 269, and OPS is 708. Does have 7 stolen bases, 4 home runs, 15 RBI. Only 9 walks, though. That's kind of surprised me a little bit when I was writing this down. 32 strikeouts. Francisco Lindor hitting 211. But he's hitting 211. That's not great. But just, a week ago or whatever it was, he was hitting like 180, 190. So he's on the uptick here. OPS is 674. 4 stolen bases, 6 home runs, 20 RBI. 13 walks, 25 strikeouts. Pete Alonso, 212. On the reverse here, Pete was hitting 260 just 2 weeks ago. So early season averages, that's what they are. Pete's hitting 212 with a 742 OPS, 1 stolen base, 9 home runs. He leads the team in home runs and 19 RBI. A lot of solo home runs there. Got to do it with people on. 14 walks, 32 strikeouts. Need more walks out of Pete as well. JD Martinez, very small sample size here for JD, hitting 297, 701 OPS. No home runs, 2 RBI, 3 walks, 13 strikeouts. again, still pretty new to the lineup here. Brett Baty, 257. I'd like a little bit more out of Brett Baty, but it's better than last year. 677 OPS, 3 home runs, 13 RBI, 10 walks, 26 strikeouts. Jeff McNeil, 248's not getting it done. I wouldn't be surprised if the Mets are a contender, if the Mets are hovering around 500 and they're in the wild card race. I wouldn't be too surprised if they shop Jeff McNeil around. Say it every year, but I wouldn't be surprised if they shop Jeff McNeil around and see what they can get to better the team or to kind of set up their farm system even better. But I wouldn't be surprised, because you trade McNeil, that opens up second base. That could lead to Jet Williams. I think Luis Angel Acuna. I think he plays second base as well as the outfield. So that leads it up for one of your younger guys, potentially to kind of come up and see what they can do. Inject a little bit of youth into the Mets roster here. 644 OPS, 2 stolen bases, 1 home run, 7 RBI, 12 walks, 17 strikeouts. Harrison Bader hitting 280, 654 OPS, 5 stolen bases, 1 home run, 7 RBI, 3 walks, 22 strikeouts. Need more walks out of Bader. He's just a little guy. How the hell is he not walking more? Small strike zone doesn't make sense. DJ Stewart. This is what I was talking about earlier with DJ Stewart. If you weren't watching earlier, we're talking about who would I'd rather have hitting. But with the outfielders that are rotating, it would be Stewart, Harrison Bader, or Tyrone Taylor. So it has to be DJ Stewart. Now DJ Stewart's hitting 185. So you compare that to Bader's hitting 280. Harrison Bader's hitting 280. DJ Stewart's hitting 185, and Taylor's hitting 288. So just looking at averages, you would say, "Oh my God, you'd cut DJ Stewart." But look at this: slug percentage 415. On base percentage for a guy that's hitting 185, on base is 365. That's out of this freaking world. That's unbelievable to have a 365 on base percentage and hitting only 185. That's insane. He has a 780 OPS. He does have a stolen base, 4 home runs, 16 RBIs, 17 walks. That's the key right there. 17 walks and only 17 strikeouts. Tyrone Taylor hitting 288, 736 OPS, which is pretty good. Whenever he's been in the lineup, he's done well, I thought. 3 stolen bases, 2 home runs, 13 RBI, 3 walks, 15 strikeouts. And looking at some pitchers here, I already talked about all the starting pitchers when I was doing the upcoming games. Looking at some the relievers, Reed Garrett, 5-0, 1 save. 0.47 ERA, 1.05 WHIP in 19 innings pitched, 32 strikeouts, and 9 walks. He's been outstanding. Adam Ottavino, 1-1, 1 save, 3.14 ERA, 0.98 WHIP, 14 in the 3rd innings pitched, 24 strikeouts, and 5 walks. He's been very good. A little bit of higher ERA, but I think it was his first outing or two. He got knocked around a bit, but ever since then he's been lights out. Edwin Diaz, 0-1, 5 saves. He does have a blown save now. 2.45 ERA, 0.82 WHIP, 14 2/3 innings pitched, 22 strikeouts, 4 walks. Jake Diekman, 1-1, 3.86 ERA, 1.11 WHIP, 11 2/3 innings pitched, 17 strikeouts, 8 walks. And Jorge Lopez, 2 saves, 2.04 ERA, 1.13 WHIP in 17 2/3 innings pitched, 15 strikeouts, 6 walks. I got a comment here. And I did forget about this. We were talking about this off air. I said I wanted to talk about it, but I forgot. Thank you for bringing this back up, Paul. He says, "What are your thoughts on Contreras being hit with the bat versus the Mets?" So if you don't know, if you didn't see it, go back and watch it. It's absolutely brutal watching the slow motion. Watching it in real time, it didn't look that bad. Watching it in slow motion, it looks like it's awful. It is awful. But anyway, it seems to be happening a lot. In my opinion, I've you go back and you check a bunch of box scores for the Mets. Even when Francisco Alvarez, before he got hurt, you would see error. You're like, oh, what do you get an error for? You figure maybe throwing or a pass ball or something like that. But no, it'd say catcher's interference. So the batters are hitting catcher's gloves, it seems to be more often, in my opinion, than they've ever have in the past. It's happened to Francisco Alvarez a couple times, Tomas Nido, Omar Narvaez, and now last night, and I was watching this when it happened. JD Martinez is up. He swings and he hits. I think it is Wilson. Yeah, Wilson Contreras in the arm with the bat. Now, originally, the St. Louis broadcaster said he got clipped on the backswing, but when they showed the replay, that was straight on swing. There was no backswing. It was the swing. He got his forearm, not his glove. The dude got his forearm right here in the middle of the forearm and down with JD Martinez's swing. How close do you have to be to get your freaking middle of your forearm hit by the swing? It's absolutely insane. And now, so I was listening to, I don't know if it was the St. Louis commentators or if it was somebody on X talking about it, but they said that the Cardinals have been working with Wilson Contreras on moving him closer to the batter or closer to the plate, I guess you would say, to try to get more low strike calls. So you've got to figure the closer you are to the plate, the sooner you're catching the ball. So if you're throwing, a sinker or a cutter or something that's breaking down, you catch it sooner. Well, now it's not breaking down as far. The umpire sees that, and he's more likely to call that a strike, right? But now your catcher's in the path of the bat. So not only does JD Martinez get the base because of catcher's interference, but now Wilson Contreras has a broken freaking arm. So and by all estimations, from everything I heard from St. Louis fans, he has been their best player so far this season in a team that's been a huge disappointment. Paul Goldschmidt can't get out of his way in the batter's box. Nolan Arenado, he isn't hitting, and he's not fielding. I think he must have had 2 or 3 errors in this series alone against the Mets. I mean, and Wilson Contreras has been the only consistent bat in their lineup, and he is a really good catcher. And so just watching that, it doesn't make sense to me at all. I shouldn't say it. It does make sense when you break it down, getting closer to the plate, trying to catch that low ball for a strike. The sooner you catch it, the sooner you catch it, that's what I'm trying to say. The sooner you catch it, the less break it's going to have. So it's still in a strike zone, all that good stuff. But at what cost? At what cost? So you're trying to get that ball. You're flirting with disaster, not only with broken arm, but with catcher's interference. All right, you got the strikeout, but now your glove got tipped. It doesn't have to be the whole glove, just a string on the glove. The manager can call for, I think that's reviewable. And if the bat touches that string, that's catcher's interference. Now he gets that base. Now you don't get the strikeout. He gets the base, and who knows what happens after that? It extends an inning or lead to a big inning. So at what cost, are you getting this? So, now he'll be done for the season. Absolutely. There ain't no way he's coming back. You watch that in slow motion. That arm went in a weird direction. And, it wasn't pretty. And with his reaction, he knew it was really, really bad. I thought it was his hand or wrist, but when they showed that slow motion, it was terrible. It was terrible. So, let me know your thoughts on that. The catchers, it seems like there's a lot more catchers interference right now so far this season. And in my opinion, it's teams just getting a little bit too, I don't want to say fancy, just trying to. I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying. I'm just going to move on from it. So I'm trying to think of a word, and I can't. It's not coming out. And I could sit here all day struggling and stuttering, and it's not going to come out. Yuki says, last question. The New York Mets have met or have not met your expectations so far. Right where I thought they'd be. So they kind of have met my expectations. Now, if you look individually, some of these guys have not met my expectations, and some guys have far exceeded my expectations. So, as a whole, as a team, I do feel like that's kind of right where I thought they would be. But you're looking at some of these, some of the guys, who have not met my expectations. Like Pete Alonso. I'm not, giving up hope or nothing like that. I'm a huge Pete Alonso fan, so I'm not giving up any hope on him. Jeff McNeil again. I didn't have high hopes for Hauser. Jose Quintana, I did have kind of high hopes for him. Kind of, I don't want to say high hopes like I thought he was going to be a sub-2 ERA kind of guy, but, a mid-3, early 3 ERA kind of guy. It's the same as he was last year. Quality start after quality start. Luis Severino has exceeded expectations. Harrison Bader, Tyrone Taylor, those guys. Joey Wendell can go eat an egg, a rotten egg somewhere, one of those 100-year-old black eggs. Joey Wendell and Adrian Hauser can hold hands, go to the U.S. Virgin Islands and eat those black eggs or whatever. I don't care. Those guys, they can suck it. DJ Stewart, up and down on him. Like I said, he's been outstanding, getting on base, outstanding. So I was down on him early. I called him a skinny Vogelback. And, if you've seen DJ Stewart, he's not exactly skinny, but that's how thick, I'll say, Vogelback was. But as the season has progressed, he's looked much, much better. Still that average, you still want to see it up. 185 still sucks ass, but getting on base a lot. So, yeah, I would say Met. They're right where I thought they would be. Paul says, I cringed watching the replay and then watch it again. I thought it snapped in half the way he was running and holding. Yeah, so if you watch that bat in slow motion hit his forearm, you can see the flex in his forearm where the bat hits it and comes across on that upslope. I mean, your forearm's not supposed to bend like that. So yeah, and then they called it right away. I mean, I think it was had to be less than an hour before the news was already out that it was fractured, that it was it was done. I mean, it was one of those X-rays like, oh yeah, there's a break there. Maybe even by feeling it, maybe it's one of those things like, oh, it's all crunchy. I hopefully they didn't do that. That sounds very painful. All right, I got a couple sponsors reads to do before I get the heck out of here. I love doing these sponsor reads. I get to do my funny voices there. Jason Fine, J. Fine Law Attorney, Big Al. You can reach Big Al at 1-800-HURT-123. That's 1-800-HURT-123. Jason Fine specializes in motor vehicle accidents, slip and falls, workman's comp, and personal injury claims. He has 3 office locations conveniently located throughout Pennsylvania and New Jersey. The offices in New Jersey are located in Cherry Hill, 3 Greensward Lane. The phone number there is 856-209-5258. And in the steel city of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The offices are located at 500 Grant Street, Suite 2900. The phone number there is 412-365-8151. And in the city of brotherly love, the offices are located at 1628 JFK Boulevard, Suite 2120. The phone number there is 267-888-2980. That's Jason Fine, attorney, Big Al. Head on over to monkeycoldcoffee.com for all your gourmet coffee needs. They have bourbon chocolate chip infused coffee, toasted coconut rum, a Sumatran blend medium roast coffee, an organic blend called Perula Florida, and also their newest flavor, golden honey agave. And they're also selling barrel-aged honey at monkeycoldcoffee.com. Be sure to check out that swag shop. They got t-shirts, coffee mugs, tumbler cups, cold brew pitcher set for all you iced coffee and cold brew coffee lovers, K-cup adapters for all you K-cuppers out there, and don't forget some of that sweet, sweet paradise rum cake. All that and much, much more at monkeycoldcoffee.com. Use that promo code at checkout, OOTB Sports, for 10% off your order. That promo code, once again, is OOTB Sports for 10% off your order at monkeycoldcoffee.com. So I got a couple more slides to share here. Don't forget, Inside the Octagon debuts May 27th, 8:30 p.m. with Paul and Josh talking UFC. Combat sports fans, check that out. Atomic Drop this Saturday, 10 p.m. And Monday Night Football show, that will be coming soon as well. And don't forget, you'll see me again tomorrow morning with a little bit of LA Kings talk, and I'll also be talking Stanley Cup playoffs. The Kings had their exit interviews with the players, so I'll talk a little about that. Coaching stuff and GM stuff, all that good stuff. We'll talk about that tomorrow. And, of course, Friday, 10 a.m., Raiders. Silver and Black Lair Raiders edition. Be sure to check that out. I'll be talking Raiders, and I'll be talking about their defensive backfield this week as I go on week after week. This up until the season starts, I'll be breaking down positions and where I think they're at with that. My opinion, all opinion based. That's all. I'm not professional. I'm an opinion kind of guy. So, all right. So that's all I have for today. Thank you for checking the show out. Thank you for commenting. Right now, 86 live viewers. Don't forget, all you viewers there on X, which is the majority of our viewers, you can now comment on X by double tapping that live video feed. Tap it once and tap it again. That comment box should pop up. There it is. You can now comment live by clicking the video and then clicking the video again to have that chat box appear at the bottom of your screen to comment live. So be sure to try that out. And I'm not going to get into it again because it angers the blood. So be sure to like, follow, subscribe, Facebook, YouTube, X. We're also on the TikTok, Instagram, all sorts of places. Hashtag OOTBoxSports. That's hashtag OOTBOXSPORTS. Out of the Box Sports Entertainment. Live streaming seven days a week. And like I said before earlier in the show, if you weren't on yet, be sure to check out the all of our shows. We got shows, we got Philadelphia shows, we have Major League Baseball shows, Cowboy shows, Redskins shows, Giants shows, not Redskins, Commanders, I'm sorry. I still call the Guardians Indians, so it is what it is. I'm old and I'm stuck in my ways. All sorts of different shows, something for everybody. Raiders, LA Kings, wrestling, well, pretty soon UFC, Monday Night Football, Notre Dame Fighting Irish, a ton of stuff. So be sure to check all that stuff out. College Football Frenzy. And if there's something that you want to do, if there's a show that you want to do, reach out to us. Reach out to us on X, Twitter, Facebook, Messenger, all that good stuff. And we'll point you in the right direction. We'll get stuff figured out and we'll get you on. All right. So that's all I have for today. Check me out at the Bat Cave, OOTBS. And don't forget to check out Out of the Box Sports on X at OOTBoxSports. And like, follow, subscribe. There we go. All right. I said it like 3 times now, but I mean it this time. I'm out of here. Thank you, everybody, for checking the show out. Check me out again next Wednesday. Same bat time, same bat channel with the New York Mets, the Bat Cave. Also, again, tomorrow morning, 10 a.m., Silver and Black Lair, LA Kings edition. Friday, 10 a.m., Silver and Black Lair, Las Vegas Raiders edition. And Saturday night, 10 p.m., the Atomic Drop, talking WWE wrestling. One more comment that I'm out of here, 100% out of here. Yuki, I want a father and daughter at war show. And I am going to try to get her on. And I am going to try to get her on. No Philly show. But there is, we do have a Philadelphia show, the Sully Squad. They talk Phillies and they talk 76ers, Flyers, Eagles, and all that stuff. So yeah. But I do want to get her ass on and, get her all embarrassed and stuff like that. It'd be funny. All right. So now I'm definitely out of here. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for commenting. I'll see you guys later.